Welcome to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports. Welcome back to another episode, everybody. We have Cody and Jeff here today, and we're just going to finish off our mock draft that we started last week. First 10 picks done in the books for us, so now we're going to do 11 through 31. 11th overall, Tennessee Titans. Do we see a quarterback here? Will Levis, the hometown guy, Hendon Hooker, who went to Tennessee, who put up really good stats the last couple years? Or do we see them add a receiver like Jackson Smith-Njigba, who they need some receivers in that receiver room after getting rid of A.J. Brown. They went and got Treylon Burks last year. He's not really worked out to be that kind of number one guy yet. We'll see, but I think overall, Peter Skronsky's still there. They got rid of a lot of offensive linemen. I think Skronsky is probably the best value pick here for them. Or do you think they go quarterback?
I don't think they're going to go quarterback at all. I think they're going to go tackle, and which tackle that is, I'm not sure. I mean, if Skronsky doesn't go to the Eagles, which we agreed that they would go edge, I would have him go into the Titans, but since that's not going to happen, who did we agree on?
Skronsky.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's who I have going.
I mean, just looking at what they did this offseason, cutting primarily almost their entire starting offensive line, get a guy like Skronsky who you can say can play, whether that's offensive tackle or guard, but, you plug him in, hopefully at left tackle, he plays great for years to come. And, I mean, if he's even still there, there's pretty much the four teams before them can easily take an offensive tackle like Skronsky. So I feel like they have to take him while he's there.
That's why picks after round 10, even after 5, are hard because a team's going to take a player that another team wants, and then they're just going to go to a complete different position probably.
So anything can happen on draft day, and it's what makes things fun. But Skronsky seems like a very safe pick for Tennessee here. So moving to Houston with the 12th overall, we saw them take Bryce Young, 2nd overall in our mock. So it feels like they could go defensive line here, take Kalijah Kancey out of Pitt, whose measurables are very similar to Aaron Donald. They could go Nolan Smith, who had an amazing combine that really showed his draft stock go up. But I think the best pick here for them to take is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Get your quarterback a wide receiver.
They could go edge, but yeah, Njigba would be I don't know if it would be perfect, but it would be a great compliment to either whatever or whoever goes to the Texans at the quarterback position. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's rumors that they might not take a quarterback at 2, but I don't see how they couldn't with what they're at. Davis Mills. I mean, do they really want to have Davis Mills be the quarterback next year? I doubt that.
They might.
They might.
It being the Texans, but
yeah.
I doubt that is true because it looks like they actually have some brains in there now. It's just probably probably just playing.
Who knows? But I mean, whether they take Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Anthony Richardson, I don't think they'll take Richardson. But say they get Stroud and then you pair him with a college teammate. We've seen in the past, college teammates seem to like each other in the NFL when they get to play together. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, but I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is a perfect pick for them, especially if they go quarterback at 2. But moving on to the New York Jets, it sounds like they're not going to trade this pick to the Packers if they do get Aaron Rodgers, which now it seems like it's in a very big limbo, and I don't even want to get into it. Aaron Rodgers has gotten enough talk this offseason. I'm not going to talk about it. So no matter who's at quarterback for them, whether it's Zach Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, or I mean, they could arguably take a quarterback here at 13 with Hendon Hooker and Will Levis there. I don't think so. I think they got to take offensive tackle here. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I see Darnell Wright being a very good team for him, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he's an athletic guy too, and we've seen they like to run the ball when Breece Hall was healthy. So, let him play. People are saying, "Oh, he's only a right tackle." Like, how can you kind of say that? Who knows what he could be when he gets to the next stage? I think he'll be a good offensive tackle no matter where he plays. And I know Mekhi Becton hasn't worked out quite yet. He seems to be in really good shape, though. So it'd be nice to see how they formulate the offensive line, especially if they take Darnell Wright. And I think he'd be perfect. No matter who's at quarterback, you need to take offensive line. You need to have a good offensive line and compete in that division, because you have some really great defenses in that division. So Darnell Wright for the New York Jets. Next up, probably I would say the hardest to predict, only because you never know what to expect out of them. I mean, last year the New England Patriots took a D2 offensive guard that no one saw coming, and he ended up being arguably the best offensive lineman in the draft last year, potentially. I mean, it's still only a year down, but New England Patriots, I feel like a lot of positions they need. Devin McCourty retire, so it's they could easily take a defensive back here. Wide receiver seems to be a need too. They're supposedly in the DeAndre Hopkins market, but I think it's maybe a little bit too early for any of the other receivers other than Jackson Smith and Jigba. But of course, if they value a guy here, they'll take him. What do you think?
I think they're gonna get corner. Who that is, I don't know. What do you think?
There's a pretty good amount of corners I think that are left. A guy that people are calling one of the better corners, Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Some people compare him. I mean, they aren't saying he's right next to Christian Gonzalez, but some guys have him as the number one corner in this draft. So I think getting a guy like Witherspoon, who maybe not as athletic as Gonzalez, but he I think fits the physical play style that you expect a New England team to play, and maybe you get him to play a little bit of safety. They like to have versatile players in there. I think Witherspoon could be a versatile player for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see them landing Joey Porter too. So.
Yeah. There's a handful of corners in this draft that could easily go in the first round. Joey Porter, Delaney Banks out of Maryland. I think Joey Porter is a pretty versatile corner too. I think it's between those two guys. If I were to guess, if you gotta go between those two, who would you take? Porter and Witherspoon.
I don't even have Witherspoon going in the first round, so Porter.
Oh wow! All right, well then it's Porter. All right, Joey Porter out of Penn State goes to New England. Next up, everyone's favorite team, the the Green Bay Packers. I think they got to go skill position here. Going into as of right now, they have the only receivers worth anything are Christian Watson, who we saw have flashes but still needs a lot of work, and Romeo Doubs, who same kind of boat, and 0 tight ends. I think this could be a really good place to start to see tight ends go. I know I just said that it might be a little too early for a wide receiver, but when you're as desperate as the Packers might be, and kind of turning the page and giving, surprise, they're going to finally give their quarterback some, first round skill positions. We'll see, but what are you thinking? I'm I'm leaning toward.
Because they're going to go tight end. It's Green Bay. They're not going to take a, like, I'm assuming you're talking about wide out receiver, not.
Well, I meant tight end or receiver. When I meant a skilled player, I meant wide receiver / tight end. One of those. I think it has to be one of those two positions.
Yeah, but I mean, they've needed receivers for how long? Like, I would value a solid receiver over a tight end in Green Bay's situation, but knowing Green Bay, and I think they probably will do this. They're gonna go for Michael Mayer or Mayer. Mayer from Notre Dame.
Yeah, Michael Mayer. Yeah, being a Notre Dame fan,
either him or the Utah one. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, there's a handful of pretty good tight ends in this draft. I mean, Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, don't sleep on Darnell Washington too. He kind of showed out at the combine. I think he'll be somewhere taken late in the draft, in the first or even early second. I think he'll be a very explosive tight end in the league, and there's a lot of great tight ends. But I think Mayer, I think, is probably the most well balanced of the three. And when you have a team like Green Bay who's still rocking with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, they're going to probably rely on the run a lot. So having a guy like Mayer, who is, Notre Dame, who makes better blocking tight ends than Notre Dame? I don't think anybody. So, and that's a little bit of Notre Dame bias from me maybe, but who cares? Let's go Michael Mayer, staying in green, just a little bit different shade. All right, moving to 16, the Washington Commanders, who recently just got sold. So they're new. I mean, assuming it gets approved by the NFL commissioners, I think that still has to happen at this point. But new ownership looks to be finally coming in. So there's a couple different ways they could go here. I mean, they seem to be all in on Sam Howell, so I don't think Hendon Hooker or Will Levis will be a person to take here. Do we see guards start to come off the board with either Joe Tippin out of Wisconsin, Osiris Torrance out of Florida? I mean, those two guys, they need to add some offensive linemen. They could take a tackle here, corner. I know we talked about Joey Porter with the Pats, but there's still a handful of good corners in this draft.
Yeah, so I agree that it can go two different ways. In my mind, I think they'll go tackle, but they also could go after Porter if he's still available. Did we already have Paris Johnson coming off the board?
Yeah, Paris Johnson went to the Chicago Bears.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I go back and forth with players, so I get mixed up on who went. But
Broderick Jones is still there.
Yeah, I would have him go into Commanders then.
Yeah, they still seem to somewhat like what they have at left tackle there in Charles Leno, but his leash is probably very short, so we could see Broderick Jones play a little bit at right tackle probably until, Charles Leno's been a team captain for them, so that could be a somewhat good tackle combo for them, but I think, they got to go offensive line here, especially if they go with Sam Howell. You need extra protection. They have receivers for days on that team, and they seem to like what they have at running back there. So Broderick Jones is a very good pick, I think, for them out of Georgia. So next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, another team that feels like offensive lineman or corner. There seems to be a lot of the teams that it seems like it's going to be those two positions, or at least that's at this point in the draft, that's what's most depth. I could also see the Steelers potentially going defensive lineman here. We saw when TJ Watt was hurt that they struggled at times to get pressure. I think Nolan Smith could be an interesting pick here. If not, could we see Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State go? He's kind of a versatile guy that could fit in Pittsburgh. Brian Branch, defensive or safety out of Alabama, to pair with Minka could be very nasty. There's a couple different ways I think they could go here.
Yeah, I could see Nolan Smith going there. They should go after a lineman, but I think that lineman would be Broderick Jones, but he's going to be gone. So I think they'll go for Nolan Smith.
Yeah, and luckily enough for them, too, they do have the 32nd overall pick, so that could maybe give them some leeway to take a guy like Nolan Smith here to add to that amazing defense that, when healthy, could pretty much lead them to a playoff run. Not saying the offense couldn't, but the offense still needs some, consistency before I even say it's a good offense. So I think Nolan Smith could be a good pick here. Then they go and take an offensive lineman or a tackle at 32. I think that could be something we very easily see, or other way around. But Nolan Smith at 17, still there. I think they have to go him with his athleticism. 18, Detroit Lions. We already saw them in the first round at 6 overall. They took Miles Murphy. Recently, they did trade away Jeff Okudah. So even though they spent some assets trading or getting some more corners, I think they could still maybe take a corner here, depending on how they value things. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can kind of play that nickel role for them. Can they have Cameron Sutton? So I don't, or not Cameron, yeah, out of the Steelers corner. I could see them maybe taking a corner here. If not, they do need a tight end, and Dalton Kincaid seems like the kind of guy they would like after trading away TJ Hawkinson to a division rival.
I don't think a tight end's gonna go. I don't think they're gonna draft a tight end in the first round. Maybe later on, but
maybe they do have a lot of early picks that they can easily take one if one's or trade up late. They could trade back into the first later, but I mean, something that's not really talked about too is they could easily take a wide receiver here. I mean, they lost.
That's who I have. Yeah.
Which one? I mean, I think it has to be between Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers, probably, or Jordan Addison. I think those are kind of the three guys.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnston, that that would be scary with them. He's seems to be a pretty freakish athlete. I mean, he has the size and a little bit of the speed. So pairing him with Amon-Ra St. Brown and hopefully, Williams, their first round pick last year,
he'll be fully healthy.
I mean, he's fast. Oh yeah, hopefully healthy with the whole offseason. That's a scary trio. And when you have good group of running backs too, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, that it's going to be fun. It'll be a fun for them. So Quentin Johnson, I like that. Moving to Tampa, Buccaneers, that team, I could see. I mean, I know Baker could be something, but this feels like a time where we start to maybe see a quarterback go. If not, I mean, offensive lineman, Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State. We still have guards for days. I think they need a tackle a little bit more than a guard, but we could see a guard go here too. They need all the offensive lineman help they need. Bijan Robinson, someone we haven't talked about enough, who is somehow still here just because running backs aren't valued like they used to be, but he's considered.
Honestly, I almost had the Lions taking Robinson. I know their running back situation, but he's a really good prospect. And the top 5 actually. And I mean, that would make them better.
Do we say screw it and take Bijan here?
For the Lions?
No, Tampa.
I
just think they need offensive.
That, and I want to say they go for another edge. I don't know. But they do need a running back.
They do. I mean, they need offensive line too. I could see them going guard here. I think they maybe go with a guy staying in Florida, Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. I think that's who I would say.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm in agreement.
Because we saw last year that one of the big issues was consistency on the offensive line. They were kind of running through a lot of guys, and they had some guys retired. I mean, they just went and traded one to Houston, so they need guys. So why don't you get someone that you need and not someone that you might need? And Bijan now is falling, and now we're to the Seahawks, who they like their running backs, but I doubt they go running back. We saw them take Jalen Carter, 5th overall. Do the Seahawks take a quarterback? Do they take Will Levis or a Hendon Hooker and let them sit behind the guy and hope that no one else, and just chill?
No.
I could see them taking corner to continue to add to that young secondary. I'm gonna bring up again Witherspoon. I feel like him or Deontay Banks. You thinking Deontay?
Yes.
Alrighty, Deontay Banks out of Maryland for the Seattle Seahawks, adding to that secondary. That team, by the time draft night ends, I'm gonna be hammering Seattle Seahawks division winners. It's just they're adding all the pieces they need, and they're looking very, very nice. Now we're finally to the Chargers of LA. Do they go wide receiver here to add to a team that seems to always have injured guys? Or, I mean, there's Austin Eckler, who's been rumored to be on the trade market. They can't get a deal done. Do we finally see Bijan Robinson go? I think this could be a perfect team for him.
They're gonna go receiver, even though they have a couple holes in other places, and yeah, they are always hurt at receiver, so
that is true. Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, which one you liking here better? Zay Flowers brings explosive. I think he could mirror what they already have really well, but Jordan Addison seems like a dog and gets to stay in South California.
Yeah, it's a split between those two. I could see them going for Zay Flowers. I want to say Jordan Addison, but I think it's going to be Flowers.
Yeah, I think Flowers might complement what they already have there a little bit better. And he could be a pretty bright spot. I mean, he's a very explosive guy out of Boston College.
Pretty small, but
all right. So Zay Flowers, Chargers, and now we're at the Ravens here, who I think could still easily go wide receiver here. If not, they lost Ben Powers at guard. I think they could go guard here too. But at the same time, secondary starting to get a little bit light. I know their safeties are fine. Marlon Humphrey's fine, but corner was the opposite side of Marlon Humphrey when he was healthy was something disastrous. Marcus Peters was burnt toast last year, and I'm glad they're not re-signed him. So I think with them taking Odell, Nelson Aguilar, I know it's not the perfect combo if Lamar comes back, but I think that could maybe allow them to wait to take a wide receiver a little bit later in the draft, assuming Lamar comes back and they don't have to rush things. I could see them. I think with Osiris just taken, I think they go guard here and they take the Wisconsin guy to replace a Wisconsin guy. I believe Ben Powers went to Wisconsin, and they take Joe Tippin, guard.
You want to hear
what do you
mine?
think? I do. Is it? Oh, this is gonna be nice. What is it?
Baltimore Ravens will pick Hendon Hooker to hedge their bet against Lamar Jackson.
You know what? I like that just because we do not know whatsoever what's going on with Lamar, and even if I don't want to say even if they re-sign Lamar, because he'll be signed for I would assume a long-term contract, so Hendon Hooker would just sit and sit and sit. But I like that. I mean, we still don't know, and we obviously see that there's tension, and we don't know what to expect So yeah, let's go ahead and Hooker, and maybe we'll be super wrong, but that's a pick that you just it just depends how they go with quarterback. Because if Lamar comes back, then they don't. I like it. I like it, and that could be interesting because now with the Vikings, a team that I thought could maybe be a good place for Hendon Hooker to sit for maybe a year. Kirk Cousins' contract as of right now does end after this year. That is a position of need. They went out, linebacker is also a position of need. I could see this being the first place we see a linebacker go. If not, wide receiver. They lost Adam Thielen. They kind of need that another guy there. Jordan Addison's still there. I mean, corner, another position that we could see go, especially with what they kind of went through last year in that secondary. I think they got to go defense here, though. That defense was bad, and they need to get younger before they get older. So let's see. Let's have them go I'm gonna have them go linebacker here. Now it's not the heaviest linebacker class as of right now. Obviously, that can change once it goes, but let's have them go. His stock has went down a little bit, but let's go Noah Sewell out of Oregon. Let's have him stay in division with his brother, who is Penei Sewell, offensive tackle for the Lions. Let's go Noah Sewell. What do you think?
I could see that, but I agree they'll go defense. I had Brian Breesy from Clemson.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a lot better pick. I forgot about Brian Breesy. I don't know how I did. Don't ask me how, but I am going to go with you with Brian Breesy. He didn't have the best game against Notre Dame, and I think that's brought his stock down a little bit, but he still could add some good defense to that defensive line.
Interior defense.
That desperately needs it. Oh, yeah. I mean, that Vikings defense was bad, and when
it only got worse,
you have an offense. Oh, yeah, they went and pretty much cut everybody. I mean, some players supposedly still won out. I mean, they did go and get Brian Murphy. That was really all they did. So I think they got to add some more to that defense, and that'd be a perfect place to start. So now Jacksonville, I think they could go defensive back here. That's like the number one position of need here, whether that's Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. Cam Smith out of South Carolina is a good corner that's still around. Witherspoon, who I know you said probably won't go in the first round, but I think he could be good value at this pick. I think it's between those three guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see them going for a defensive back. Who do you have?
I think Brian Branch, I think, would be the better value position here. I mean, he's the number one safety in this draft. He can kind of play a little bit of everything. He's versatile, physical. Plus, he's an Alabama safety. The Alabama safeties tend to work out in the NFL.
Yeah, I want to say that, but I just put him in for the Bills. Yeah, I'll bring him up. Brian Branch to
well, Bills might be sorry about your luck, Bills. You should have traded up if you wanted Brian Branch, I guess. But next up, we got Giants. The team I could see going linebacker, interior offensive line. They still don't have that wide receiver one, and Jordan Addison is still there. I think that could be a good pick for them. Corner is kind of a position of need for them too. I just named two guys that could go there with Cam Smith or Witherspoon out of Illinois. I'm leaning towards Jordan Addison just because I know they went out and got a couple wide receivers, but they still don't have the number one wide receiver.
That's actually who I have, so yeah.
All right, Jordan Addison. Easier said than done. And at least in my mind, that might be all the guys, potentially wide receivers, to go into the first round. We'll see. There's always a team that reaches, but Cowboys now, I think they gotta go tight end here. That's kind of their. I don't want to say one position in need, but the most important position in need, especially when you get rid of a guy like Dalton Schultz, who was the last 2 years a very key piece to that offense, and it seems like they're going to be passing it a lot more. They went out and got Brandon Cooks. Zeke, the bell cow's gone. Tony Pollard in to step into more of that role potentially if he comes back super healthy. I'm not sure what his timetable actually is. So maybe they go Bijan Robinson even, a guy that, gets to stay in Texas. But I think Dalton Kincaid, probably the best pick here.
Yeah, it is, but I think they'll go after Darnell Washington.
Okay, I see it. I like Darnell. I mean, he's a physical freak. What is he? 6'7". Though he could move too. I think
6'7", 264 pounds.
Yeah, I like I honestly kind of like Darnell Washington a little bit more. Not gonna lie,
good route runner and really athletic. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
And he's a good blocker too. So if you're that athletic and that tall, yeah, I mean,
he'll fit perfectly.
Yeah, I do like the Utah tight end.
I just like his name, Kincaid. It's like a cicada.
He's good, so he could very well go in the first round too.
And that's something we haven't seen in a while, is a bunch of first round value type tight ends. Like normally we just see one guy that just is a athletic freak, but we don't see this many guys that could potentially, at least it's been since what, I forget if it was 2017, 2018 when we saw the likes of OJ Howard. We saw David Njoku. There was a third tight end that went in that first round, but it's just been a while since we've seen this many tight ends with this much of high value. It seems like an easy pick for the Cowboys to take a tight end, so it just depends, one, who's still available for them, and two, who they value more. And I think Darnell Washington would be perfect for him. But Bills, I think, I mean,
I have Brian Branch, so I need to do some reassessment, I guess.
I think I don't know how Bijan Robinson is still here, but they've had issues running the ball.
That's actually a good pick.
I think Bijan Robinson should be the pick here. I mean, they kind of need some edge. They need more pass rush, especially we saw the defense wasn't the same once Von Miller got hurt. They still don't. I mean, whether you love them or not, they still need wide receiver. But if there's not a guy they value here and Bijan Robinson's still there, why not? He has a passing element to his game. He's a great catcher out of the backfield. So why not? Why not take him and just have a super fun offense?
Yeah.
So
who do they even have now?
You agree?
Yeah.
They have Dalvin Cook's brother. I'm blanking on his first name.
Oh, crap. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I know you're listening, Dalvin's Cook brother.
But they traded away Zach Moss to the Colts. Singletary's gone.
Yes, Singletary went to the Texans, I believe. So, I mean, Najee Harris, Najee Hines, running back one. No. Bijan Robinson, running back one. But moving on, Cincinnati, secondary. I think they need secondary help, if not defensive line help. And there's a little guy named Khaliji Kancey that's still available out of Pitt. I think that'd be a good value pick for them late in the draft. If not him, then Cam Smith, Witherspoon,
Emmanuel Forbes.
I think it's one of those three guys. What was
Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi
That's something
State.
they could do too. He has stocked up a little bit. His stock has went up.
He set the NCAA pick six record.
And that defense could need a dog like that because Emmanuel Forbes, a little bit undersized if I'm remembering right. But
yeah,
he's all there.
170 pounds.
Yeah,
it's pretty,
a little bit undersized.
Pretty bad, but
supposedly a lot of teams are talking about him. So that, I mean, if he's still there, I mean, he's a guy who could go early teens, even early mid-teens. So this could be a good value pick. That's the thing with this draft. There's a lot of good corners in it. It's just a matter of who a team likes more. Like, we could see easily Emmanuel Forbes go earlier, but it's or Deontay Banks go early, or Witherspoon go early, or Cam Smith. There's so many corners that could go where, I mean, or Christian. I mean, we don't know, and that's the fun of it. But Emmanuel Forbes for Cincinnati, great pick. Now, the New Orleans Saints, thanks to a trade with the Miami Dolphins, who was a 49ers pick at one point. But now it is in New Orleans, and there's a lot of different directions I think they can go. I was thinking quarterback a little bit earlier today, but now looking back at that, I don't think they could go here with Derek Carr signed long-term, or decently long-term. What about Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State? I mean, he's a versatile lineman, can play all 5 positions. They kind of need a little bit more help on that side. What are you thinking?
They could, but I have down Mozzie Smith from Michigan to up their D-line.
Okay. I like it. Are you not a big fan of Khaliji Kancey out of Pitt?
I am, but I think this pick is just a solid pick.
I agree.
What do you think? Did I convince you, or?
I wouldn't call myself convinced, but I think that's a route they can easily go. So I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, and looking at their New Orleans defense, it is getting older before it gets younger. They're not re-signing any of their guys because, for one, they can't really afford to. They have to let guys walk. I mean, we saw that with Marcus Davenport, who didn't have the best numbers when you look at sacks, but his pressures were up. We saw a couple years ago they lose out on a couple guys too. I mean, they lost most of their interior defensive line this year to Atlanta, it feels like. So that's a good pick. They need some interior defense, and Mozzie Smith out of Michigan.
But I also could see them going the other side of the ball to help out Carr, because
oh yeah,
I don't know. They should be in the rebuild stage, but
they refuse to rebuild.
Yeah, they're an ignorant team.
And now we see every year they have to do salary cap gymnastics just to stay under the cap, and they just refuse. They refuse, and it's starting to bite them in the mouth, or it's biting them everywhere. But we'll see. I mean, it could be a bad division, so that gives them props, I guess. But hey, Eagles, 30th overall. They lost some offensive linemen. We thought they could go offensive linemen last, or with their earlier pick at 10, but I think they go offensive linemen here. Who are you thinking? Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State, Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. I think those two guys could be potential.
Yeah, we already had Osiris gone, right?
Yes.
Check it. Yeah. I think they're gonna go A-line.
Yeah.
I had Osiris here, and obviously we pushed him up more. Crap.
I think Cody Mauch could be a versatile guy that if they want to play him at tackle, he can. But at the same time,
yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah.
I think that's a very good pick, and you might be saying, "Oh, he's from North Dakota State. That's division. It's not FBS, but I mean, we've seen North Dakota State bring some pretty good players into this league. Plus, just look up for anyone listening, look up a picture of Cody Mauch. I'm probably not saying his last name right, but he looks like a offensive lineman that'll be perfect for the NFL. That's all I can say about that. But last but not least, definitely not least, because they won the Super Bowl this year, the Kansas City Chiefs.
He's missing his front teeth.
He is. He is. But Kansas City Chiefs, we saw them lose Orlando Brown Jr., but they ended up replacing him pretty well with Juwan Taylor. But I still think they should go off potentially offensive tackle here, or wide receiver. I don't really know if they go, I mean, they could easily go wide receiver here. There's a couple guys I think they could maybe take late in the draft.
You know who they could take?
The Chiefs?
Eagles. Sorry,
Oh, you're fine.
Jalen Hyatt.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they could. I don't know how much the Eagles will be putting into that wide receiver group this early in the, but he could, I mean, speed deming.
Yeah.
He could extend the field even more. I think that's a player the Chiefs could even take here. Could be maybe I'm not going to compare him to Tyreek Hill, but he could definitely be their next speedy guy that they get. And wide receiver is probably a position they need some help on. I mean, the defensive line could use some help too. I'm gonna keep bringing up Kalijah Cansey, but
Yeah, we'll stick to O-line on that one. But that is just the idea I thought of.
oh yeah, I don't know why Jalen Hyatt was completely blanking from his name, for at least from my brain. I was too worried about Hendon Hooker.
That offense, holy crap, if that happened though.
Oh yeah,
But on to the Chiefs. My bad.
it's all good. What do you think, Chiefs here? You thinking Anton Harrison tackle? I mean, they could take Jalen Hyatt here. They could go D-line, guy like Kalijah Cansey, or they could take someone who I can actually pronounce. And who knows? There's a lot of guys they could go here.
Here's a name you probably can't pronounce because I can't. The Kansas.
Let me guess.
Kansas State edge. Felix Enudike Uzoma.
That sounds close enough to my ears.
Yeah. Frank Clark's gone. All they have is George Karlaftis.
I mean, at the edge position.
Yeah. They're missing an edge. And
yeah, I think they definitely go young here. They've been trying to put a little bit more of that in there.
And their defense.
You know what? Yeah.
Their defense wasn't the most impressive. There hasn't been I don't know. It's a good pick. I think that's what they'll go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Chiefs go Felix Anudike Uzama. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's the way I'm pronouncing it until I hear Roger Goodell say it with the 31st overall pick. But hey, that's the end of the first round here, folks. So we did it. We'll be posting this mock draft into picture form at some point before the draft, probably by the end of the weekend. So look out for that if you don't want to listen to this whole spiel about why we picked each pick. But if you've made it this far, you've obviously listened to us. So just, hey, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, feedback, whatever it is, hit it, and just, we're getting very close to the NFL draft, so get ready for it. And NBA playoffs are right around the corner. Baseball's getting nice into it, so continue watching sports. There's always sports on, and have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports.